Good morning and welcome to Charlottesville, Virginia. We are here at Scott Stadium for the Pony Up pregame show. It's presented by Origin Bank. I am Rich Phillips, and we're happy to be here. First time ever for the SMU Mustangs to play here at UVA. It should be a great one this afternoon. 11 a.m. kickoff for the Mustangs and the Cavaliers. We'll have it on the radio side on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket, as well as Sirius XM Channel 194. And obviously, it can be a big day here. Scott Garner with me here in the booth as well, my radio partner, and it could be a big day because the Mustangs could learn by the end of the day that they're going to be in the ACC championship game if they win.
The biggest game in maybe 40 years, and I don't know how many times we've said that the last couple of seasons. This is a huge game today. Mustang fans will be glued to the TV, and they'll have the ears on the radio.
And big day yesterday for this SMU program, too, as the news came out that an extension had been given to head coach Rhett Lashley. I had actually didn't even know that news was coming this week, but I had done a little research on his time here.
Sure.
At 27-10 is Rhett's record here in almost 3 full seasons. He is the 21st head coach in SMU history. He's 8th on the wins list already in just 3 seasons, and his winning percentage of .730 is second only to Bobby Collins, who all he did was take over one of the best teams in program history back in the early 80s with the Pony Express.
Rhett's been just fantastic. You know, he was the OC here, left, came back, OC at Miami, left, has come back. He's had many stops along the way, UConn, Auburn, Arkansas State. Sanford was a GA at Arkansas. Started as a quarterbacks coach in high school in Springdale, Arkansas, but he's taken a winding road to get to this point. And what's been so amazing with what you've seen with this program, Rich, is the fact that we have started at a pretty high level, but the growth has been absolutely enormous, not just on the field, but off the field in the recruiting. Rhett knows how not only to develop players, but develop coaches. Look at the assistant coaches and what they have done and how they have grown. Scott Simons has done an amazing job as a defensive coordinator, and a lot of that has to do with how the program is managed. A lot of it is what you don't do and the kind of freedom you give your assistant coaches. Our coaching staff is coaching at an elite level, and Rhett Lashley gets most of the credit.
Yeah, he brought in Scott Simons, who'd had a great run as the defensive coordinator at Liberty, and said, here, it's your defense. You design it, you call it, and then really I think 2 years ago said, let's get you some players on that side of the ball too, which some offensive coaches don't do nearly as much. And I remember him telling me towards the end of last season when the defense is top 20 in most categories and they win a conference championship, he said, I'm sold. Let's do this defense thing too.
You don't win championships without defense. That's that old adage. But look at the numbers here, Rich. SMU's defense has allowed just 17 points on 17 turnovers this year.
Wow.
That's incredible. Unbelievable. We don't win at Duke if not for that defense.
No. 6 turnovers and 0 points off in that Duke game were amazing. So, yeah, great news yesterday that Rhett Lashley, terms not released on the contract, but we know he did receive an extension to stay here at SMU, where he's got the team to 9-1 on the season, 6-0 in the ACC, only team in the ACC without a loss in conference play, 13th in the AP poll, 13th in the CFP. You looked down your nose at me a couple weeks ago because I was concerned about when the coaches poll came out. Hey, they're better. They're 12. They got us 12.
That's why you like that poll so
much.
That's
right. Let's look back a little bit last week, though, how SMU got here with a 38-28 win over Boston College, their 7th straight win. I thought that was the most gut check win of the season for this team. You know, BC took a lead right away in the third quarter. It was only 1 point lead, and it didn't last very long. But SMU kind of controlled a bunch of the game, but they never led by more than 10 along the way, really, which was the problem.
Never really could put the game away. But I love what Rhett said when he talked about how when the game was on the line, we acted like we had been there before. And so crucial to have that kind of poise. I remember the pressures, the sacks there, the last drive for Boston College, and it kind of came out of nowhere. And you and I are like, where's this been the whole second half? Because Boston College had controlled the tempo. They had controlled the line of scrimmage. They started really wearing on the SMU defense. I really like watching Boston College because I love watching linemen, and they were able to climb to the second level so consistently, and they kind of neutralized what may be the most improved room on the defense, that linebacking core, and Kobe Wilson, who's just had an amazing season. But they were kind of neutralized because of what they were doing, and they run gap scheme really well. They're a good zone team and a good gap scheme team. It's hard to find that, but I thought Boston College did a great job of staying with it. And as much as I hate to say this, this goes to Bill O'Brien and the job that he's done with that team. They don't quit. We're going to see a team like that today that doesn't quit.
Yeah, Virginia definitely has a lot to play for today, too, needing a win to get to bowl eligibility. Last week, Kevin Jennings, 24 of 34, 298 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Coach said put that on him, by the way. He said he put him in a bad position with the play call there. But I thought Kevin was as good as he has ever been last week, and especially – when he moved around in the pocket. I mean, he's got a probable All-American that was coming after him, and Donovan Ezaraku, the defensive end at Boston College, and is able to pull out of him and away from him and roll to the side. And the way he threw on the run, the way he would stop and set and throw, we're almost to 1 year since his first start. I think we're 9 days shy of that. He would have been running on all those plays last year, not throwing the ball instead.
Rich, you look back at the bowl game last year, less than a year ago, when SMU played Boston College, and we talk about how great coaching staffs develop players within their system. How much different of a player is Kevin Jennings now compared to what we saw in the bowl last year? Where he's come from since the championship game last year. That game was won by the defense. Jennings did a great job of managing the game, but now he's a playmaker. And I love what Rhett said, too. He's making tough throws and yet also valuing the football. Yeah. That is very hard to do, and we saw that really personified and underscored in that first quarter. I thought his first quarter throws last week were absolutely amazing. How about the one throw, and you talked about it, where he spun out of the sack with Ezaraku on his tail. Most quarterbacks get sacked on that play. Mm-hmm. He didn't get sacked. No. It's 3rd and 14, and he spins out of the sack, finding Moochie Dixon, and converts the 3rd down. Not only does he avoid the sack, he converts the 3rd down. That's the difference in this SMU team and the last SMU teams from 40 years ago, going back to the 80s.
I tell you, a big difference between the bowl game last year and now for Kevin Jennings. I don't think Nick Saban knew his name when we were in the Fenway Bowl last year.
That's a great point.
Boy, he does now, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yes, and Jennings has seen this. You know, I love, though, how it's not gone to his head, Rich. He's the same even-keeled guy. And you've told this story a couple of times. I've heard you off the air about how impressed you are with Kevin and how he turned the ball over at Duke 5 times, 3 picks and 2 fumbles, yet he comes back the very next week. You wouldn't even know it.
We'll hear him talk about it on the radio pregame today, by the way, too.
Okay.
Our radio pregame guest, 10:30, by the way, for the radio pregame this afternoon, or this morning as it is. By the way, defensively last week, obviously the interception by Isaiah Wacobia late first half at the goal line that turns into a field goal moments later to end the half. That's a 10-point swing right there because they're at the 15-yard line. A 10-point swing in a game you won by 10. Don't overlook that play by Isaiah Wacobia.
Great, and I wrote that down, too, in my notes, how he jumped the route on the goal line interception, running zone coverage, anticipating that. It's not, he had to read it early, then make a play and do it on time without interfering. It was just fantastic. But that's what this team has done individually. They're playing well as a unit. We're swarming the football, but individuals within the team have grown so much that they're making plays like this.
And then Kobe Wilson was named the ACC Linebacker of the Week after 16 tackles.
Career high.
Career high for him, most in about 11 years, I believe, by an SMU player. And he had one of the 2 sacks there at the end that finished it off. Now, SMU here today at Virginia. The Cavaliers 5-5. They're 3-3 in the league. They started the season 4-1, and they've gone 1-4 since. And the one win was actually an upset on the road at Pitt the week after SMU had beaten them. Quarterback is a question here today. Anthony Calandria has been their starter all year, benched at halftime last week against Notre Dame. He had 3 interceptions in the final 2:30 of the first half, and they were 3 not real good throws either.
Yeah.
We think he's going to start here today, but, Scott, I bet we'll see Tony Muskett if anything goes wrong at all for him.
We saw him last week. Again, he had a very bad second quarter last week for Virginia, but Calandria, big arm. It can be electric. It can also be erratic.
Yeah.
Inconsistent mechanics. Sometimes he'll step into throws. Sometimes he won't. Sometimes he won't step into throws when he doesn't have pressure, anticipating pressure. It's one of those things. So he's had some issues this year. And you mentioned the 2 interceptions against Notre Dame. Just didn't look the safety off. That was a problem on the 2 of the 3. Struggled to read against zone coverage, and we've been very good. The Mustangs have been very good the last 4 games, running zone coverage, not getting spread out. I like you. I think we'll probably see 2 quarterbacks today.
Musket now did start 6 games last year, got hurt, and that's when Calandria stepped in. He did. Musket played the second half at Notre Dame last week, 9 of 14, 103 yards, ran for 2 touchdowns. So a good chance we will see both of those quarterbacks this afternoon for Virginia. Again, it's 11 a.m. kick for SMU and Virginia here at Scott Stadium today. Our radio broadcast on 96.7 and 1310. The ticket starts at 10:30. More to come here on the show, but we told you about some of the highlights from last week's win for SMU over Boston College. Let's take a look at those.
Tommy Fenway Bowl, Boston College 23 and SMU 14.
We got a nice ACC battle going down in Texas on Saturday. We got Boston College here coming in with a 5-4 record. When it comes to SMU, I'm impressed with SMU, man. 8-1 record. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that SMU would have came into a big boy conference like the ACC and pretty much dominate and has been dominating, man.
Hey, it's 2:30, so it's time to put our head down and go to work and take care of business. We control how physical we play. We control how hard we play. We control how we respond to everything that gets thrown our way. All right? So let's make sure that we handle those 3 things. Every play, 4 quarters, more if needed. All right? Let's go 1-0 in the 4th quarter. I love you guys. I'm proud of you. I can't wait to watch you play.
Liam Connor has it on the tee. Boston College won the toss and deferred on a touchback for Kevin Jennings and a high-powered SMU offense. Boston College brings a blitz on 3rd down. A lob down the sideline. Keyshawn Smith, and they leave some points on the field. Boston College now, their first possession, 3rd down and 5. Grayson James to throw. From the pocket, he's going to take a shot for Reed Harris. And overthrows him. Play action, Jennings, nice little jab step on a sideline throw.
With how it's been playing over the past couple of weeks.
Jennings slips one out. Robert Daniels makes a miss. Takes his way to the pylon. Touchdown. Boston College. They can certainly run the football on you, but this is an underrated defense.
Hey, good half of football. We freaking got the lead. All right, let's don't act like we got the lead. All right, hey, defense, way to bail us out with that pick at the end. Offense, way to go down and get points. PAT team, way to knock it through. All right? Hey, we got to finish. We got to handle our business. That's it. We just got to take care of business. We got the lead. We're at home. Let's go out. No matter how hard it is, we control our physicality. We control how hard we play. We control how we respond. All right? So let's go out in the second half and let's respond like a bunch of freaking champions. Let's go get it done. Let's go. Hey, finish on the set. Finish.
Coverage despite being outmanned, but rather having some guys who've been injured in the corner.
Tacklers. Bucci picks it.
Alvin Kamara thought the running back, but he is taken to that hole.
Strong into the end zone. Jennings with the hook up to Jordan Hudson for the much-needed touchdown. An SMU answer, and they've got the lead back. 30. They run it with Smith. He dives. He moves the pile, and it is a 7-point lead.
The defensive coordinator's got silence from SMU to calm down his secondary.
Crosser incomplete. Short hopped it for Lewis Boggs.
Brett Lashley, they're a fun team to watch.
Sings one to the sideline. And not going out of bounds. All-time leading scorer in SMU history. Out again to add to his total. Colin Rogers. So Boston College will have it at their own 20-yard line. The perfect season in the ACC for SMU is on the line. Their timeouts as well. On first down, Grayson James. He's going to get wrapped up, find his way back to the line of scrimmage and beyond. Here comes a blitz. Under pressure off his back foot, James heaves one out of bounds. Another blitz. James tied up. James going down. Kobe Wilson brings him down. BC compelled to use a timeout. So fourth down and 19. Boston College has lost its start. Four-man rush. James. Pocket collapses. Down he goes. A takeaway on downs. And SMU's going to win it.
What do you guys want to run up front? Nice pitch, Jay Hart. Keep going.
A lot of things that can go wrong in this situation, too.
And sweep again. Spinning in the end zone. Keyshawn Smith scores the touchdown.
Hey, I don't know what to be fast at, but that get back on.
A lot of fun at Ford Stadium these days for the SMU Mustangs. Keep in mind you got one more chance to see the Mustangs there next Saturday, 2:30 start for SMU and Cal in the regular season finale. 214 SMU Gamer, SMUMustangs.com for tickets. This is time for our Rhett to the Point segment as we're getting ready for SMU and Virginia at 11 a.m. today here at Scott Stadium. These clips with Rhett Lashley come from his Wednesday night show, the Pony Express show at Ozona Grill and Bar, so we don't talk contract here with him yet because it had not happened. The CFP still has SMU 13th sitting on the outside looking in. Coach Lashley's expressed some of his frustration on it, and it's not just about what's happening with SMU, but what's happening with the entire ACC.
I take issue with certain people saying, well, this league's going to get this many bids and this league's not, and the data just doesn't support it. We have a winning record against the Big Ten. You know what I mean? Of their 4 teams that are ranked, 3 of them didn't even play a Power 4 non-conference opponent. Didn't even play one. We played 2. And the 3 teams in our league that are ranked, us, Miami, and Clemson, have played 5. They played 1 between 4 of them.
Right.
So there's just a lot of data points that don't make sense. Like, we're behind a team at 12th who's 0-1 against Power 4 opponents, and we're 7-1. So you could drive yourself crazy talking about all that, and that's why I'm like, just make it make sense. It doesn't. But what does make sense is We can control how we play. We can control what we put on the field. And if we do that, I trust the committee will put us in.
Well, if they win their last 2 regular season games of the conference championship, they won't have a choice but to put SMU in. We talked about the win against Boston College last week, 38-28 for the Mustangs, their 7th consecutive win, and Red agrees it was a real gut check win for his team.
We actually controlled the entire game. We were in control of the game, but we never put it away. We led 3 different times by 10 and never made it 17. You know, we led 10-0. We led 17-7. We had the issues before half. We turn it over. Our defense gets it back. We go kick a field goal. You know, they go down and score and take the lead, but within 2 minutes we're back ahead. So, and then we're up 10 in the fourth quarter. So we never put them away, to your point. We were in total control. But what was really good is our guys do what they do. They just keep playing. And they don't really worry about the scoreboard at that point. They just keep playing. They trust each other. And I thought they were at their best in the most critical moments. You know what I mean? When, quote, everybody should be nervous and tight, our guys played their best. So the lessons to be learned, hey, if you get a chance to put someone away, let's do it. But I was really proud of them. And honestly, like I said after the game, that's how I expected almost every one of our conference games to be.
Might be the same way here today at Virginia with the Mustangs trying to get win number 10 on the year. We kind of alluded to this a moment ago, but suddenly former Alabama coach, now ESPN College Game Day host, Nick Saban has been pumping up Kevin Jennings the last couple of weeks.
I know. I need Nick to calm it down a little bit.
Wait a minute. How many SMU quarterbacks do you think Nick Saban has known the name of?
Probably one.
It is pretty awesome, though,
pretty
when
cool.
it shows up on game day.
I know. It's great. It's really cool. I know it's cool for him. And look, I love what Coach Saban and Kirk Herbstreit have said in the last few weeks. Like, they get it. Mm-hmm. Even Urban Meyer last week said, hey, the Mustangs are legit. They're for real. Coaches get it. They watch ball. They know it. And so it's good respect for Kevin, for our team, from those guys. And so, no, I think the praise is warranted.
And, again, pretty awesome when Nick Saban's talking about your quarterback. All right, the Mustangs here today against Virginia. We talked a little bit about their quarterback, Anthony Calandria, with some issues turning the ball over, 7 interceptions the last 3 games. But Rhett says don't overlook this guy and his ability.
Calandria has been a really good quarterback for him this year. He's dangerous. It's what he can do with his legs and throwing the football. They got some really good wideouts. Defensively, they've actually done a really nice job. You know, they've turned the ball over at times and put them in tough spots, but to your point, you know, the week after we played Pitt, they go up to Pitt and hold them to 19 points and win on the road. Big deal. You know, I think back to earlier in the year, they played Boston College at home. They beat them at home by 10, same margin we had on them. Held them to 65 yards rushing. So, like, they're they're probably the most improved team in our league, honestly. And Tony Elliott's as good as they come in our business. He's just an awesome person. He's in it for the right reasons. And now he's in year 3 of their system, and you can tell they're starting to turn the corner with what they want to do there.
That was also special guest Scarlett Lashley joining us on the Pony Express show earlier this week. There's Rhett to the Point. It's brought to you by Origin Bank. Origin Bank knows what strong teams can accomplish by working together. Origin's trusted advisors help you keep your financial goals within reach. Get the right people on your team today at origin.bank. Member FDIC. Third member of our radio crew joining me now here in the booth at Scott Stadium. It is Steve Lansdale, who will be down on the sideline on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket with us today. The Mustang defense, you know, there are some questions at quarterback. We know there's not questions for Virginia at wide receiver that the Mustangs have to deal with. They got a big fella in Malachi Fields they have to slow down today.
Yeah, Malachi Fields is fantastic. He may be the best wide receiver in Virginia history since former Detroit Lions star Herman Moore, who played here in Charlottesville. And when you watch him, he kind of has some attributes and does some things that will remind you of some rather well-known SMU guys. There's a little R.J. Maryland in him. There's a little bit of Cortland Sutton in him. He's 6'4", 220, and he's one of those guys you look at and think, no one that big should be able to run like this, or nobody who runs like this should be that big. He's a real handful. He's kind of like, if you remember a few weeks ago at Stanford, Alec Iomanner, the Cardinals' outstanding wide receiver. Well, Fields is bigger, at least as fast, and he's an absolute handful. So there's 2 ways to address this. One is You throw different looks at him. If you line up a cornerback and try to just bump and run and go physical on him, it may not go well because he's going to win a lot of those contests. So there will be some help from safeties. There will be some different looks, particularly in safeties. Look for Isaiah Wacobia as the biggest safety, who also obviously has a knack for the ball to come over and help out. And the other angle is, we think as of Monday or Tuesday, Coach Elliott was saying that Calandria might get the start again. Part of his struggle, obviously, against Notre Dame was that he was getting hammered, and some of those picks that were interceptions were a direct result of getting hit. So if the SMU front can get to the quarterback, whether it's Calandria or you have to like a Cavalier quarterback named Musket.
They're going to go to the weapons, aren't they?
Right, exactly. Regardless of who's under center for the Cavaliers, if the front seven can get pressure and get hits on the quarterback, that certainly helps diminish the accuracy. And if you can't get the ball to a guy like Malachi Fields, that's the best way to defend him. Keep the ball out of his hands.
Yeah, he is third in the ACC in receiving yards with 746 this season. All right, let's go to the other side of the ball. And Brett Lashley wouldn't take the bait on this the other night when I asked him, but Jonas Sanker's got to be the best safety in the league. With all due respect to our guys, Jonas Sanker's fantastic.
He's absolutely awesome. Think about this. We're in week 13 if you count the week 0 that SMU started at Nevada. The ACC has awarded a Defensive Back of the Week award 12 times. He's won a third of them.
Yeah.
4 times this guy has been the ACC Defensive Back of the Week. And he's not just a tackler. He gets in, he gets sacks, he gets on special teams, blocked a kick last week, or
2 weeks ago against Pitt.
2 weeks ago against Pitt. He gets interceptions. You don't often see a safety leading the team in tackles by this margin. Sanker has 82. The next best, Cam Robinson, linebacker, with 54. So he's absolutely everywhere. So what do you do with a guy like this? You could run away from him, and that may be part of the plan today because their other starting safety, Corey Thomas, who's basically a linebacker playing safety, he's 6'4", 221. He's out with a head injury. But you also will mix in some runs directly at Sanker because if he has to stay back and honestly defend and respect the run, maybe that keeps him a little bit more hesitant coming off the edge on safety blitzes. Either way, as good as Fields is, Sanker is probably the best player on this Virginia team. And if you can keep away from him, keep the ball away from him, or at the very least make him make tackles downfield, that certainly improves your chances.
3 consecutive games in that plays in that Pitt game. He had a tackle for loss that forced a field goal that he blocked. And then the next time Pitt had the ball, he picked it off and ran it back 40-some-odd yards to set up the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah,
that's getting it done.
He's an absolute stud, and I think announcers fall back too frequently on the phrase, we're going to see this guy play on Sundays. We're going to see Jonas Sanker playing on Sundays. He is a fantastic safety.
Most definitely. That's Steve Lansdale. We'll have him back here shortly when we pick games. And, of course, Steve will be on the sideline when we're on 96.7 at 1310, the ticket for the radio broadcast today. It is SMU and Virginia. Let's meet the enemy here. The first ever meeting between the Mustangs and the Cavaliers, although it wasn't supposed to be this way, Scott. We were supposed to play them in 2021, right?
We were in the bowl game, but kind of got wiped out.
Yeah, COVID hit that and took out the bowl game. And it's interesting. Rhett Lashley and Virginia coach Tony Elliott both started right there at the end of the 21 season. They got hired.
Yeah.
They weren't going to coach in that bowl game, and then it winds up being canceled, and they took over immediately after that. Bottom line for UVA today is they've got to have better quarterback play. Anthony Calandria has thrown for over 2,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. He's run for 282 and a couple of scores. But in the last 3 weeks, 7 interceptions, 15 sacks. They had 9 sacks in the Pitt game. They got to get some things corrected in front no matter who's playing quarterback.
Well, they've given up 33 sacks. That's a ton. 33, that's like 122nd in the country. And I was kind of looking at the list. That's like there's only 7 teams worse. The worst team in the nation getting up sacks is just north of Dallas in Norman. 41 sacks OU has given up. This Virginia team, they have given up some sacks, so they've got some issues there. But, Tony would love to take this team to a bowl. Last 2 seasons, they finished with just 3 wins, and now here they are sitting at 5. He really needs to take them to a bowl. We hope he doesn't get bowl eligible today. But, that's the situation. But you look at them last year, they were 3-9. But I thought this was interesting. 5 of their 9 losses last year were by single digits, and 4 of those were 3 points or fewer. And they've stayed in some games. That's what kind of is scary about them. They may be down. In fact, I was watching them against Notre Dame last week. They were down, but they never quit fighting. And you look at position by position, nothing really stands out. They don't have elite running backs. They don't have an elite quarterback, but they just continue to come at you, and those teams are the scariest. A lot like that BC game last week with SMU, where we're only up by 3 with 4 minutes to go. You don't want to be in that situation today against this Virginia team.
If they do have problems with Calandria at quarterback, Tony Muskett did play the second half last week against Notre Dame. He started 6 games for them last season, too, before injury, so they do have experience if they go to their backup quarterback.
He's got a solid arm, but the one thing that kind of concerns me about him is he gained confidence in that second half. That, of all the things that he's got a solid arm, throws well and run, all of that. But I don't like the fact that he gained confidence to the point to where I think he could be effective today if they put him in.
Defensively, they're decent against the run, 143 yards a game they allow, but they're 15th in the league in pass defense, 258 per game. Outside of Jonas Sanker, the safety, they've got 2 other safeties who are hurt. They've got a linebacker who was out. They've got another linebacker who's going to be playing while dinged up. They do have some problems on the defensive side.
They do, and they got a couple of linemen that sort of stick out to you. I like Mike Diotto. Watch this guy, number 18. He's listed as the number 2 tackle. I thought he was very good in the fourth quarter last week against Notre Dame. He fought off the block on an inside run, made a terrific tackle for a loss in that fourth quarter. Next play, he drove the left guard 2 yards back into the backfield. He doesn't start, but watch this guy, number 18. I think he'll get a lot of time today. Again, they're not outstanding anywhere, but they continue to play, and they keep coming at you, and they always dig their heels in.
And as you mentioned, Scott, they're hungry. They haven't been to a bowl game since the Orange Bowl in 2019. So they have a game at Virginia Tech next Saturday and the finale to their rivals. So obviously today pretty important for the Cavaliers. Let me give you my stat of the week here, Scott.
Okay.
It is 7.
Okay.
That is the number of 10-win seasons in SMU football history. 7. And I thought, man, that doesn't sound like much, does it? Just so you know, 20th place on the list of teams with double-digit win seasons is only 12 by Texas A&M.
Wow.
Well, because remember, for many years you didn't play but 10 games.
Yeah,
and then
that's
11. Right. But for SMU, they most recently had a double-digit win season last year, 11-3. Right. In 2019, went 10-3. So there's a chance today to get to 10 and do it for the 3rd time in 6 years. And only the 8th time ever. Bobby Collins and Ron Meyer did combine to do it 4 straight years from 81 to 85. And then back in 1935, how about Matty Bell setting the school record with a 12-1 mark and winning a national championship? You can get to 10 wins today. And by the way, in 3 of the last 6 years, if you do it today, Rhett Lashley's been a part of all 3 of those teams because he was the OC in 2019.
Yes.
The record of 12 wins, by the way, it's in jeopardy this year, Scott.
It is in jeopardy. Hey, it could absolutely happen.
Let's hope so. It'll be a lot of fun if it does. All right, so looking for only the 8th double-digit win season in school history today for SMU against Virginia. It's time for our Origin Bank Pick'em segment. We'll bring Steve Lansdale back in here. As all 3 of us, we got a 2-game sprint to the finish here in the regular season because we're all 30-20 after last week. Can you believe that? We're all tied. So
it's
here
a big
we go.
week.
Big week for us. Starting up at 11 a.m. today, North Carolina is at Boston College. The Tar Heels 6-4. The Eagles still trying to get bowl eligible at 5-5. You in North Carolina has won their last 3 games. Steve?
I think there's a difference in urgency here. First of all, North Carolina running back Marion Hampton is awesome. He is absolutely fantastic. But, as you said, the Tar Heels have won 3 straight. Mac Brown has announced he'll be back next year, and they are bowl eligible. Does that make them get a little bit comfortable? Maybe. We saw last week how hard Boston College plays. The Eagles were disappointed to walk out of Dallas with a loss last week, especially since they had to put up with the mean old SMU fans who were giving them a little grief on the BC bench. And the Eagles are playing for bowl eligibility, and they're at home, and they're still angry about losing to SMU. Boston College wins today.
All right.
The Tar Heels are still fighting. They began the year winning 3 straight. They lost 3. Now they've won 3 in a row. They've been up and down. But I think they'll be motivated this week. Mac Brown, I think, announcing earlier this week that he's going to be back again next year. He has decided to come back. This Tar Heel team, they continue to fight. Boston College, they've got good size, though. Gonna be tough for them, but I think I'm going to go with North Carolina in this game.
Has the university said he's back yet, or just Max said he's back?
I think he said he's back. He's coming.
That's pretty much his call, don't you think?
I don't know. Not always. Steve, you mentioned their running back.
I was worried about him about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Absolutely.
I got to say.
Steve, you mentioned North Carolina running back Omarion Hampton. He's second in the nation in rushing, and he had a personal best 244 yards against Wake Forest last week. BC has never beaten North Carolina since they joined the ACC, and they're not going to do it today.
Yes, they are.
I will take the Tar Heels. 2:30 this afternoon, man. Big 12's got a couple of huge games. Yeah. This one is 14th-ranked BYU at number 21, Arizona State. Cougars, their first loss last week. They're 9-1, 6-1 in the league. Sun Devils 8-2, 5-2. ASU trying to stay in the race to go to the Big 12 championship game. They've won 5 of 6, and they're tied with Iowa State for third in the conference. Steve?
I think the only bigger surprise than BYU starting out with 9 straight wins, I think even fewer people would have thought that Arizona State would win 8 of its first 10 games. The winner of this game certainly has a very nice path to a potential trip to the Big 12 championship game. It kind of felt for the last few weeks like BYU has won a couple of games, not with smoke and mirrors, but it's not like they've been blowing a lot of people out. BYU lost last week to Kansas. Arizona State goes on the road and beats Kansas State. I think a little bit of the air has been let out of the BYU balloon, and I've got Sun Devils winning today over BYU.
All right, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, BYU, they've just not played dominating football in about, maybe a month. It's been a long time, and they really started so well. We saw them early, and just the season, I think, starting to wear on the Cougars. I've seen that the last couple of weeks. Arizona State, if I were to have picked this game 3 weeks ago, no chance I would pick Arizona State in this game. They've improved tremendously. I saw them play Texas State. They beat Texas State by, I think, 3 in September. They look terrible. But they are ranked now. It's a much different college football landscape than it was even 2 months ago. I'm going to go Sun Devils in this one.
Arizona State is playing their first game at Sun Devil Stadium as a ranked team in 10 years,
Wow.
if you can believe that. And I think they're going to make the most of it. I will take Arizona State as well in that game this afternoon. Also at 2:30, another big game in the Big 12 with 16th-ranked Colorado at Kansas. Buffaloes are 8-2. They're 6-1. You probably think, the Jayhawks are 4-6.
Yeah.
Why is this a big game? Well, Kansas has beaten Iowa State and BYU in back-to-back weeks to kind of throw a wrench into the Big 12 title race, Steve.
Exactly. It wasn't that long ago that if we had a Kansas game on this Pick'em segment, you could pretty much write that one off as an automatic loss, no matter who the opponent was. Those days are over. They are much improved. As you said, they beat Iowa State. They beat BYU. They're not going to get it done today, though. Colorado, they have their holes, but they have a lot of really elite athletes as well, and they have enough to beat Kansas. As much as I would love to see Kansas knock off Colorado, not today.
All right, Scott?
Yeah, it's hard to win on the road when you can't run the football consistently. And you've got kind of a middle-of-the-road offense, but they've won 2 in a row, as we've talked about on the road. Kansas did beat BYU, but there's an old adage in football. You don't win football games, you keep from losing them, and that's kind of what Kansas did last week. I thought BYU absolutely lost that football game last week. I think Colorado's going to be too much. Give me the Buffaloes.
Yeah, in the last 3 games, Shedeur Sanders for Colorado has thrown for at least 291 yards each time out. He has 8 touchdowns, 1 interception in those last 3. I will take the Buffaloes today as well. In the ACC at 2:30 today, Stanford at Cal. That's a rivalry game from the Pac-12, of course. Cardinal only 3-7, but they snapped a 6-game losing streak thanks to a calamity of mistakes by Louisville last week at the end of that game. Cal's 5-5. The hard luck Golden Bears finally did win a league game 2 weeks ago against Wake Forest, but they lost to Syracuse last week. Steve?
It is a rivalry game. These two programs really dislike each other. And this, to me, is one of those games that you should try to see once if you're a college football fan, sort of like the Iron Bowl or the Army-Navy game or one of those.
Is this called the big game, I think? I think that's what they call it.
Is that it?
The big game.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take your word on it.
It really narrows it down, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. these two teams really dislike each other. As you said, Stanford got an amazing victory last week over Louisville with a good deal of help from the Louisville Cardinals. I just don't see Stanford containing the Cal running game. The Cal defense is pretty solid, and Cal gets the win today.
Yeah, Rich, you used the word calamity. That's the word that I wrote down right here. No way Stanford should have beaten Louisville last week. Calamity of errors. Stanford has won, though, over Syracuse now and number 19 Louisville. Cal's another team that can throw it but can't run it. They've got a sophomore quarterback that has a 14-1 touchdowns to interceptions ratio. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. This is a hard one to pick. I'm gonna go Cal though in this one.
Cal has won each of the last 3 and 4 of the last 5 big games. It's the big game. I'm going to take Cal on that one today. And then finally in our last one, Virginia Tech is at Duke at 7 o'clock tonight. Hokies 5-5. Blue Devils are 7-3. Virginia Tech has lost 2 in a row, while Duke bounced back from 2 straight losses to beat North Carolina State last week. Steve?
This is one where I'm going with a gut feeling over really any semblance of logic. Duke's at home. Duke has a better quarterback. Virginia Tech has lost a couple straight, although the Hokies are probably going to get back their starting quarterback and running back today. There's no reason Virginia Tech should win today, but the Hokies will win today in Durham.
Yeah, they've only thrown for 200 or more yards one time the last 5 games, Virginia Tech. Duke began the year 5-0, as we all know, but they are 2-3 since. Duke has struggled to stop the run as of late. That's going to be a problem. Duke's at home, but I'm going to go Virginia Tech in this one.
Duke has won 8 games in 3 straight seasons, once in school history. Once. You believe that?
Wow.
They're going to do it again. They'll make it 2 tonight. I'll take Duke in that one. That is our Pick'em segment brought to you by Origin Bank. They know what strong teams can accomplish by working together. Origin's trusted advisors can help you keep your financial goals within reach. Get the right people on your team today at Origin.bank, member FDIC. All right, 11 o'clock this morning. It's SMU here at Scott Stadium against Virginia. First ever meeting between these two schools. Scott, give us a couple of keys to success for the Ponies today.
Let's get to those keys. You and I had the same picks all the way down. Is that right?
I think that's right.
So Steve's got a chance now. You got a chance to take the lead going into next week.
Did you take Duke?
I did.
Okay, yeah, I think we
so it comes down to the Boston College-Carolina game, right?
Sure, yeah.
I think so.
We'll figure that out.
No, I'd gladly take a loss in the Colorado game.
I took Virginia Tech.
Keys to success. Come on, do it.
Yeah. Keys. Put Virginia away early today. The Cavs beat Boston College at home. Almost beat Louisville at home, 24-20. They never quit. They keep coming at you. Cannot let them hang around today. Get after the quarterback early. This Virginia team, they have struggled to protect the quarterback. They've given up 33 sacks. That's tied for 122nd in the nation. That means only 7 teams, I believe it is, that have given up more sacks this year. Again, we talked about OU's the worst. They've given up 41 sacks so far this year. But that's key number 2. Get after the quarterback early. I think we'll have at least 5. I'm going to predict we'll have at least 5 sacks in the game today. That's going to be my. Hey, you always give big numbers. I'm going with number 5 today. We'll get at least. I'll be disappointed if we don't get 5 sacks today. Key number 3 for the Mustangs. Know where number 20 is. Jonas Sankers, you guys have talked about. He's their best player on defense. They're going to drop him down in the box some to stop the run. He's got 82 tackles. That's incredible. The 9 tackles for a loss. That's a big number for a safety. I'm a little bit surprised as much as he gets to the football. He doesn't have a bigger TFL number, but he is fantastic. Got to know where Sanker is today. Those are the 3 keys.
All right, that is Scott Garner, Steve Lansdale with us as well on the show. And hey, Kern right there behind me. See him? There's Kern right there, keeping us audio-wise on the air. We are going to also be on the air on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket, beginning at 10:30 with our pregame show, 11 o'clock kickoff. On the pregame, I'll talk to head coach Brett Lashley. I'll also talk to quarterback Kevin Jennings. You can also find us on the SMU app as well as SiriusXM channel 194. That's going to do it for us here today on the Pony Up pregame show. Again, join us on the radio side. 11 a.m. is the kick. First ever meeting between SMU and Virginia here today. And again, for the whole crew, I'm Rich Phillips. It's all Pony Up.